We are back with another episode of the Credit Pearls podcast, and today we have an incredible lady. We have Julesrulesirl with us today, and she has so much information to share with us. Jules, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
I was so excited to have you on, and we did like a debrief during the week where we were going to talk about like things we were going to discuss. I was like, this could go on.
We went on for a while on the phone. I was like, we should have probably recorded this because we actually...
we had so much on it. But before we launch into the details, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up and how you got to where you are now.
That could take a while. So I was born in Derry in the north of Ireland and lived in Limerick from the first 10 years of my childhood. And let me tell you, I had the best childhood growing up in Limerick. I loved Limerick. And then when I was 10... the family moved to Galway and we moved to the west of Ireland, and that was some change, let me tell you. It was wonderful, we loved it. And then I lived in the UK for 3 years, and that was a huge eye-opener. And then back to Galway. So
and when did you move to the UK? Was that your own grown-up, Julie?
No, that was against our will to start with. So we were 13 when we moved to the UK and came back when we were 16. So the first year, hated it. Second year, absolutely loved it. Third year, just loved it even more. So it was a huge cultural experience because at the time, going back, that would have been 93 to 96. You wouldn't have been exposed to as much culturally over here as you were over there.
Have.
So like I was exposed to so many different cultures, different people, different religions and races. It was just... That was a huge formative part of my life.
So when you came back then you were cool Jules.
I was cool Jules. That's what I should have called my handle, is cool Jules. Instead of for Julesrulesirl.
Because you knew, I remember that, like, we didn't know anything else. I actually went to London when I was 14 with my friend. So I got to experience that. And I was, even the food, it was the first time I did Indian food. And I was like, what is this?
Yeah,
we were just so sheltered because we'd no Instagram, TikTok, we'd no internet. So that was just a foreign world, even though it was only across the water.
It was, and it was huge for us because we were very lucky. Every weekend we went out, so we would have an Indian on a Friday night. Saturday we'd go to London, we'd go see a show with our parents.
Amazing.
We'd have Mexican, and then on a Sunday we'd get Chinese food, and we were always trying different foods in different places, and it was an incredible experience. And I brought that then into my children's lives when they grew up. It was really important that I wanted them to understand different cultures and races and try different foods and understand the country and
the world and what it is to be experience a different culture. I think that's important.
It is.
And what did you feel? How was it like then trying to remake friends? Because I know if I said to my children now, I have a 10-year-old, we're moving, she'd be like, oh my God, my friends.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was the making of me personally.
Okay.
I can't speak about anybody else's experiences but my own, but for me it was the making of me. And you'll often hear about it of children that move around a lot as young people. They'll say, well, I never really kind of had those childhood friends. But for me, it was more, it taught me to adapt very quickly to a different environment and to go in there just... be yourself, be upfront and make friends. So I definitely think that my childhood experiences actually were the making of who I am today in terms of my social experience and the confidence that I have walking into a room. I'll walk into a room, I wouldn't know a sinner, and I'll come out with 10 friends. Like, that's just who I am.
And I saw that at the International Women's Day event. Everybody rang me and spoke about you. Everybody.
Tell me more.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
They said they just felt like you were friends.
Yeah.
And that can be difficult when you're older to make friends, but you have that, you just have it in spades. And it definitely is that because of your childhood. Definitely, because you had to just say, okay, it's sink or swim here. I'm either going to be miserable or I'm going to make friends. So you had to make friends. So then you moved back to Galway.
Yes.
16. Cool Jules.
Oh, I wouldn't have said I was cool. I was a total nerd. But I've always loved living near water. So like living in Galway, I just find something very healing about being near the sea. So even at 16 years of age, like I was sad. Like I would get up at 7 in the morning and walk down to Blackrock and go for a walk in the prom on my own with me little yellow Walkman, and I thought I was it. But that's just who I am. I suppose I've always been somebody who's a lover of nature and being around things. So like, just being near water, that is 100% my vibe.
So you've stayed then in Galway way since?
Yes.
Okay, you live there still now.
I live there
so
still
you love
now.
it.
Yes.
So tell us, when you moved back, did you have a little part-time job? What was your first job?
Sharon, I've been working since I could walk, but really, I mean, I used to babysit the kids. I practically reared the kids across the road when I was 12 years of age. I'd go over, I'd cook, I'd clean, I'd mind. And you'd come home and my mother'd be like, you'll do it over there, but you won't do it here.
Yeah.
Like, but I think all kids are like that.
We were like
we'll
that.
do it for everybody else.
Yeah.
We won't do it for our own family. But, you know, I've always been working. And then I used to work in the local shop. I used to go down and wash all their shelves down and put all their products back up. And I get paid with a bar of chocolate. Well, I thought I was elected with this bar of chocolate.
I know.
So I've always had a very good work ethic. And I think that was instilled again from my parents, both of them. My mother obviously raised 6 young girls and we were like steps on the stairs. And as she used to say, not one of us could pull the other one out of the fire. Like there was nobody like, sure, the older ones will rear the younger ones. Like there was nobody could rear anybody.
They were all young.
It was just chaos.
Okay.
But she worked very hard raising us, and then my father worked full time. So I suppose we've always had a very good work ethic being taught to us growing up and seeing that and witnessing it. So that was definitely instilled in me at a young age to be, you know, put in the effort, be a hard worker. I think what I learned later on in life was you can work as hard as you want, but if you're not demanding and commanding what you deserve, people will happily pay you at a much lower rate and be very happy that you're giving them a great work product, but they'll be quite happy to not, you know, commensurate that with your salary if you don't ask for it.
Particularly when we were young and when we started work at that age. I think now businesses are different. They need to be because like it was hard to find jobs when we left school and when we were in, like to have a job was a big deal. Like the unemployment rate was so high in Ireland, and Irish people, no matter where we went all over the world, were known for a work ethic.
Yes.
We had it because we've always had to work. I always had it in spades. But I know when my son went to Canada, he said, Mom, nobody over here works like we worked. And like he's 28, but he said nobody, they thought he was amazing. And he said, I'm not doing what I would have done in Ireland. Like we just have that, it's different. And I don't know whether it's how we were raised or because a lot of us are from farming backgrounds. And if we're not directly, our parents would have been. So they just have that work ethic.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's instilled in us.
It's generational, definitely.
Yeah.
Because if you think of your grandmother and your grandfather and all that, we're very, very hard-working people.
Yeah.
Very hard-working people. So I think it's a little bit of both. I do think it has to be in you as well to want to do that because, you know, I know lots of people from my generation that you know, would you know, if work was in bed, they'd sleep on the floor. Like, they'd rather do that. So, you know, I think it's either in you or it's not. And I think some of it can be from how you grew up and your influences, but also it's down to you, the person, to make that decision. So even if you've grown up with not that same influence, you can decide, this is who I want to be. I want to be a hard-working, committed person to what I'm doing.
And that means a lot to me, to be thought of as hard-working. Not everybody. Some people are like, you know, would you not strive to do 20 hours a week? I like work.
Yeah.
I feel proud if I do a good job for our customers. But I've always been like that when I worked in bars and pubs. I think it's important and to like have values like that to say, okay, I will always work hard. I'll show up and I'll do my best, always. And you can never say I didn't. And I have that, and I admire that in people. I think it's a good trait to have. And you're right, not everybody does. Some people just don't have it.
Oh yeah, they'll commit a full-time job to not working during the day. And you know, you've worked with people like that obviously over your career, and you watch them and you're like, dude, you just spent 3 hours trying to avoid doing that one job that would have taken you 20 minutes. And you're sitting there so chuffed with yourself that you avoided doing it. But you actually put more effort. If you put the effort into avoiding doing what you wanted to do, then if you'd
have it done 10 times.
And you're just like, I
can't understand it. And more so now that I have my own business, I'm just like, but I always saw it in work and I was always known for being a hard worker. And generally, I felt I got rewarded for what I did, generally. Like I mostly did, but as I scaled up, no, I had to fight for what I deserved.
Yeah.
And I sometimes didn't get it because I was a woman. And I hate saying that because being a woman never held me back at anything. No. But I feel I had to fight harder for the money side of it as a woman. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Did you find that?
Yes, I do. But like, we have to remember that it's only like, even going back as far as the 70s, like women were still expected to give up their job when they got married. So like this is only new for us. Like we're still
new for
very
everybody
much,
and employers.
It is, but I wholeheartedly feel that the success we have seen in businesses since the 70s is directly attributed to the fact that women are in the workplace.
Yeah.
And like, you know, this is something that is still developing and still growing. But I would disagree with people who say, oh, it's hard being a woman in business. No, it's not. No, it's not. If you're not happy where you are, move. And what I find is a lot of people who are very unhappy in what they're doing, whether it's in their career or in their personal life, they're very unhappy in what they're doing, but they're prepared to do nothing about it. And, you know, I have been... Complainers, but I would also say, like, I think there's more comfort being stuck than there is pushing forward. So I think we become very comfortable being unhappy in a situation and staying in it than actually the fear of moving forward. So it's trying to, I mean, when I work with women, it's trying to get them to understand that, but you're miserable right now. So what's the difference between being miserable now and trying something new and maybe being still unhappy, but at least you tried something different? You know, so it's getting them to understand that. So yeah, I don't think it's hard for women to be in business. I think it's incredible
easy,
opportunities.
but I think that the women that are stuck in those, I suppose, unhappy lives are surrounded with women who are stuck in unhappy lives.
Yeah.
So they're enabling each other to stay there. The women I associate with aren't like that. Mm-hmm. But because if somebody's saying to you, sure, it's all right, it's terrible for us all. Mm-hmm. And then they don't do anything about it. But if you surround yourself with a different type of women who are go-getters, who are doing something, who are still going after their dreams, it's easier then to do it. Because for me, I definitely found when I started my business that I had to stop being friends with certain people. And they didn't want to be friends with me either, because we just were on different wavelengths now. And I won't say that you're holding a mirror up towards them, but you just are on different paths with different dreams and different outlooks on life. I did find in the corporate world, I had to fight for more money. Not that I didn't get it, but I had to fight harder than a man would have. But it never held me back in my career. I did what I wanted to do, and I always got the jobs that I wanted. And in business, it's just different for women than men in business. It's not that it's more difficult, it's different. We have different wants, needs, we have other responsibilities. So it's just different. And when you have other women like you on your side and other people around you, they tell you how they navigate those differences and how they overcome them. And how, oh yeah, that happened to me and this is what I do in that situation. So it is different for women and men, but it doesn't mean it's harder or less difficult for men. They have their own difficulties and they've challenges that they have to overcome too. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you an interesting story. So I think it's just about having this quiet confidence in myself. I know what my value is. And I have never in the professional arena allowed anyone to tell me your value is here and I see my value up here. Anyone that has tried to do that, I have removed myself from that situation as quickly as possible.
Okay.
And I've never allowed that to stagger my progress. So I was going for an interview one time and I was with a recruitment agency and it was for a PA role in a company and I really wanted the job. And I was talking to the recruiter one day and I said, you know what, I know this PA and she'd be a great fit for this. So I'm going to give her your details and put her on to you. And she was like, okay. So I put the girl onto it anyway and she came back and we went through the interview process and the other girl got the job. And the recruiter came back to me and she said, Julia, I have to ask you, I'm doing this a long time. I have never had a candidate contact me and say, here's somebody else, put them in the pot to compete with me. Ever. It's never happened. Why did you do that? And I said, because the only person I compete with is myself. I know what I can bring to that company. But if that company can't see that in an interview, if they don't see that what I can bring to the table is what they want, I don't want to work for a company like that. So if they can't pick up on who I am and what I can bring to the table, that's actually a great save for me because now I've just saved myself some time not being in a company that they don't see what I can do. So I'm absolutely fine with that.
Yeah, yeah. And that is important to know. Not every company will suit you.
No.
And yeah, and there's nothing worse. Probably when you're older now and you look back, not that I'm older, you're old. But when we look back, you can see it's just not going to be a fit for me. I'm just going to have to fight to be seen. No thanks. It won't work for you or me. I'm going to find the company that I'm going to fit into, and we'll work well together. And I can you'll see it, and I can bring great things for your company. Yeah, that is the truth, and it's good. It's good to hear that, and good to know that, and something to think about. If you are in a job and you hate it, it's just not for you.
But why are you there? It's not because you're not good at what you do. It's because you're in a role that either doesn't fit your talent, you're in a company that doesn't identify your talent, or you have a manager that cannot see what you're capable of. I think a lot of people get bogged down in jobs where it's like, oh, they're doing this because they hate me, or they're doing this because they don't like me. I mean, I always, approach people and assume positive intent.
Yeah.
So, my whole thing is, I'm assuming that this is all to do with a positive intent here. But if it doesn't align with what my belief is in myself, that's okay. I won't be absorbing in what you're telling me about myself. The only voice I'm listening to is my own. And I know what my capabilities are. I know what I can do. And when you find that fit,
amazing.
It's good.
Where do you think you got that confidence from? Because not everybody has that. Like, a lot of people suffer with imposter syndrome. I don't know if it's in a syndrome or they just have self-doubts. We all have them by times. But people don't have that confidence and maybe don't understand their value or know their value. Where do you think you got that from?
Look, there are people in CEO levels that are suffering from imposter syndrome, and they are waiting for someone to open the door someday, put their hand on their shoulder and say, Timmy, we figured it out, Timmy. Let's go. We know you're not doing it all, Timmy. Come on, you're just swinging the lead. Out you go. And I can't explain where it comes from, but I can teach you how to find it in yourself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, you take my childhood and growing up and meeting lots of people at lots of different places in their life and meeting lots of different cultures and exposing myself to that. That has definitely been the making of my confidence. I think as well, going through life experiences, like I've been through a divorce, I've been a single mom of 2 children, stay at home. It happened right at the crash. I quit my job just before the crash happened. People weren't hiring PAs. Like, PAs was a luxury. So I had to start from scratch and completely rebuild my life in my 30s. And I did that. And, that was another confidence builder. So each road bump that you come across, you can either look at it in 2 different ways. You can say, this is a moment in life that's going to teach me something, and I'm going to walk away with something that I've learned new. Or I can sit in it and be miserable and complain about everybody around me who's not helping me, and it's everybody else's fault that I'm stuck. Or you can pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start again.
And you have to. You absolutely have to. I had a similar story. But yeah, there is a confidence that gives you then, because you're like, I'm okay. I can do things. I can manage. I can thrive. I was the same. And it gave me a confidence that it's like, I can do anything. And if it doesn't work, I can start again.
Yes.
And it's okay.
There's a great guy called Jacob Brown.
Okay.
And he's a motivational speaker from the States. And he has this hashtag called Fail Forward. And I
like that.
I get goosebumps every time I see it. I absolutely love this concept. That is what we're doing in life. We're failing forward. We make mistakes, we calibrate, we move forward. Yeah. And it's another thing that people get stuck in is making decisions. And we talked about this before, is that people will spend hours, their partners, and they're opening up a new office. They will spend days picking out a paint colour for the walls. And you're like, lads,
doesn't matter.
Lads, it doesn't matter. No. Like, it really doesn't. I don't care if you put green on the wall and it's disgusting. You can repaint it tomorrow if it's not right. Make a decision, move on. If it's not right, calibrate and fix. And that is what I've learned working with some of the most incredible CEOs across my career, is they don't hang around. They make a decision, they move on. If they get it wrong, they fix it and fail forward.
Yeah.
And that's all we're doing in life. Just fail forward. Make the mistake and move on.
Yeah. And people are afraid of failing. Yeah. But it's just a decision. I don't, my husband just can't make a decision. He can't make a decision for anything. He really struggles with that because he hates being wrong. He hates to make a mistake, and it kills him. And he'd say to me, you don't care. He'd say, we'll have to change that. That was a wrong hire, or that was an incorrect decision, or I shouldn't have really done that.
Yeah.
And I said, but I learned and I'll move on. And that's part of life. And you kind of learn from big mistakes. You learn from failing. I've learned more from like terrible things happening in my life than I have from the best things. I love the best things, they're great memories.
Yeah.
But the tough times, I learn from.
Yeah. But did you learn anything in the best times? You just enjoyed it.
I just enjoyed it.
You don't learn.
Yeah, they're great
from
memories.
The best times. You
No.
just enjoy the best times. The other problem with the best times is when things are going really well and people are on a great trajectory, they start talking to themselves going, waiting for the shoe to drop. This won't last.
Is that an Irish thing or what is that?
No, I just had a conversation with somebody that I work with and mentor as well recently, and things are going really well for them. And, you know, they were like ringing, this is happening, that's happening, this is happening, that's happening. And I said, I want you to wake up in the morning, I want you to look in the mirror and go, yes, thank you, more please. I do not want to hear you start to talk to yourself and say, this will probably come to the end now and probably burning out the thing. Like, we are not rocket ships. We don't burn out. We can keep soaring if we want to.
Yeah.
But it's all about how you're going to talk to yourself. If you convince yourself that you are on a burnout and that, look, I've had a great run, I'm due a fall.
Yeah.
No, you're not. You're due a fall because you convinced yourself you're due a fall.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I know that even a lot of my parents' generation, that's what they were always waiting for. It'll come to an end.
Yeah.
The good times are going to end. Told you so. Don't do this. I don't know if it's the hardship that Irish people had, but it's definitely a thing that we do. We always are waiting for the next thing.
Yeah.
You know, 3 bits of good luck, then bad luck.
Yeah.
All the time. We're waiting for
ourselves.
it. Yeah. And we nearly
And
convince ourselves into the recession.
My
into the
husband
thing.
is like your husband, so he's a very thoughtful, logical, practical person.
Yeah.
He likes to put a lot of thought into something, and that's something I've had to learn from him because I'm quite impulsive.
Same.
So I'm like, let's just go, let's just do it, let's just go, come on. And he's like, stop, slow down, put a bit more thought into it. And a recent example of that is he came home from work one day and I had a table upside down in the conservatory, and he's like, what's the story with that? And I went, it's for the skip, like it's busted, it's broken, it's old. And he went, it's what happens when you don't buy, you know, I buy things to last, and you made that decision now and it was impulsive, and look, now we're throwing it. And I went, whoa, hang on a minute. That was the best that I could afford at the time, in the situation I was in.
Yeah.
That was the best that I could afford. Bear in mind, I ripped out the bottom shelf because I had to work from it for a year while I was working from home. And so I had to make it fit for purpose. So it actually would have lasted longer if I hadn't ripped out half the functionality of what held it up. So the fact that I got this long out of it is actually a miracle. I said, so sometimes we make decisions with the best of what we had at the time. And that's why I'm saying I was able to make that decision, calibrate and move on. But he's looking at that going, well, if I'd made that decision, I probably would have suffered for longer without. I would have bought something really, really good to last. But it's like, but you suffered in the meantime.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like, I didn't suffer in the meantime. I had what I needed.
And I'm
served me a
with
purpose.
it. Yeah. We have that conversation. But if something, say if that was Colm and and that same thing happened, he'd be raging and he'd think about that for 2 days. I knew I shouldn't have bought that table. He would think about that for 2 days. I wouldn't. It's gone. Next.
Yeah.
Even in work, they slag me in work, the team, because if we have a row or if I have something to say, it's gone out of my mind.
Yeah.
I'm not harbouring that for a week, ever, ever. But I have to understand some people will.
Yes,
So I have to be aware of that, and I'm very conscious of that now. Because I wouldn't, doesn't mean you're not going to be upset for a week. So I have to check in with people and say, look, I know we had that little tiff or something, but are you okay now, or do you want to talk about it? I wouldn't need to.
No.
But not everybody's like me, so
No.
I have to be more aware of that now. And I've had to change so much because, yes, I was a manager before, but when you're a leader in a business, it's different.
Yes.
And I have to be aware of the shadow I cast. And something I say might be, sure, I only said X, Y and Z, but it could kill somebody. I could really upset them for a few days. So I've learned that from Colm, because he's very sensitive. And he'd be going around huffing and puffing for 2 days. I wouldn't know what was wrong with him. And he'd say, but you said, what do you think? And I'd be saying, what?
Yeah.
Wouldn't even think of it. So I'm very conscious of that now.
Yes.
Because not everybody's like me. And if someone said something to me, I wouldn't think about it. I'd just say, oh, they're having a bad day.
Yeah. I don't absorb it in either. And I do find that, especially professionally, I don't take on board if somebody's upset with me. So, the way, I suppose because I work from home, I don't really experience it as much. But if you're working with people and, they're upset with you, but they don't say it to you, I
can't deal with this.
I don't carry that. If you don't say it to me, I am completely unaware of it.
Same.
And it's not because I don't care. It's because I'm assuming that if you're going to say something, you're going to say it to me directly. You're not going to say it to 15 other people and then never say it to me. Either deal with it directly, or I'm assuming it's nothing to do with me.
Or I wouldn't even notice.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know there was an issue.
Yeah.
So I have the same, and I don't know. And then they're saying, but do you not know? And
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't read your mind. I'm really
But
sorry.
it's what's catching people in their progress and their success as well. They're getting caught up in these dramas, and they're getting caught up in things that they perceive to be one way. And had they just addressed the person directly, they would figure out very, very quickly, oh, that had nothing to do with you. You know, and I've seen that so many times. I've worked in a lot of different industries, and you see people caught up in these mini dramas, and you're like, this is affecting your productivity because you're caught up in this, and you've spoken to me, you've spoken to this person, that person. And anytime somebody comes to me and says, you know, like, I think that person was really upset with me, and I'm like, did you speak to them about it? Well, no, like, I mean, I'm not going to say it to them. And I'm like, so what are you talking to me about it for?
Yeah.
Like, they're not a mind reader, and you have not given that person the opportunity to address it and say, well, actually, yeah, I'm raging with you. Or say, no, I was up all night with a sick child and I'm absolutely exhausted. So I apologise if I was a little bit short with you, but it had nothing to do with you. So stop hoovering up issues around you and assuming everything is to do with you, because everyone has their lives going on around you.
Their own lives. And we
They don't
never know
always
what's
think.
going on in anyone else's life.
No.
And that is 100% true. I was talking to somebody recently. We were talking about when I went through the first breakup. The first, I've only had one. Yeah, and I remember feeling like I just had this wound that nobody else could see. And you like, if you had a sore leg or something physically wrong with you, but it was really, really difficult. But nobody would know unless I said to them, look, I'm having a really bad day, or this is happening in my life. I went into work and told people what was going on, so that, you know, they would know that I'm not coming in here crying or upset or whatever. But it's really, really difficult. You don't know what's going on in anybody else's life. You don't know what's happened that morning. You don't know if they have a sick child, sick parent, stress, money worries, whatever it is. But people think it's about them.
Well, I just think people adopt an awful lot of, she's getting it, I want it. He's getting it, I want it. And it's like, stop worrying about
what everybody
else is getting. And I've spoken about this on social media as well. You know, we all work together, and you know, you don't know what's going on in somebody's life. So, you know, you're sitting there in the office and you're going like, there's Sharon now. She's left early again. Did you see that? She's gone again at 4 o'clock. And it's like, yeah, but Sharon is caring for a sick parent at home, and she's working nights on the laptop at home to make up for those hours. And she's one of the hardest working employees in the office. And that's why the company have decided to let Sharon have a little bit of breath in her work hours so that she can go home and care for the child. Or you see that person that leaves at 5 o'clock on the dot, and you're like, she's always rushing out the door. Yeah, she's running to a creche. The creche closes at 6. Her commute is 55 minutes long. She has a 5-minute window every day. That poor woman sits in the car every day sweating that she's going to be there on time, because the creche is going to give her a hard time and tell her, if you're late again, we're going to have to fine you. Like, you don't understand all the things that go on around somebody's life. And this is why I always mentor people to understand the people you work with. Go to the social events. Get involved where you are. You know, don't sit back and give out and complain and then not want to get involved in anything. And it's like, you know, companies will make
so
efforts.
Many people like that. I know
and they go,
them.
I'm not going to that. I'm not going to that. If they think I'm going to, and it's like, they're making efforts to help you unite with each other. And the best way that you can get along with people you work with is to have empathy for others.
Yeah.
If you can understand that that person actually has a very sick child at home, or that person actually cares for their elderly parents at home, and you know, this person is actually dealing with a horrific divorce at the moment, and you know, having that little bit of empathy for someone helps you to see them not just as a colleague but actually as a person. And I'm not saying you need to come into work and spill out all your personal stuff, but I'm saying it's just having those general conversations outside of the workplace to understand, wow, like, I never knew that they were so involved in their community and they do so much for this person and that person. They're actually a really great person.
And see, that's what builds culture, and that's what builds team spirit, and it's that. So, like, I remember going in and I didn't give in to the details, but I said, look, this is what's happening in my life, and people were kind. They were kinder than, because I knew. I said, if I dropped the ball here at all, it was a very high pressure job. I'm going to be annihilated. I have to say, I have to let people know, even for my own preservation, to say, this is what's happening with me. So if I'm down or if I'm a bit teary, this is why.
Yeah.
I did do it probably for self-preservation, but people were kind. Most people are. They were kind, they were nice, they looked after me.
Yeah.
And And I think, like, the world, maybe it's because of social media, Julie. People are mean. They're mean on social media. I read the comments under Leo Varadkar where he said he was leaving. I read some of the comments and I was absolutely shocked. I was shocked because I thought, oh my God, why, what? Like, nothing to do with his political career. Personal stuff.
Yeah.
Mean. And I don't know whether that has translated a little bit and leaked into people's lives of how they interact. And it's a barrier to people in business going on social media. The first social media post that I put up, I wanted to jump out the window. Now, in my mind, I had 2 followers. In my mind, everybody was going to read this and I was going to wake up to, what do you call the haters? Trolls.
Trolls.
I mean, nobody saw it. I think I watched 5 times and probably my mum watched it, right? So nobody saw it. But it is a barrier to people going on social media. So can we talk a little bit about this? Because I know that you've built a nice following on your TikTok and on your Instagram.
30,000 followers.
There you go. I don't
Across all 3 platforms. So I don't have 30,000 followers in total.
But it's a barrier. And I think some of the behaviour that I see on social media definitely is leaking into people's behaviour in real life. Not that they're brave enough to say something like that, but it's in their mind.
Some of them are brave enough to say it, because I've seen influencers speak about it and say, I was in a restaurant and this person came up, and they actually think that because they've seen my face on social media, that it's absolutely okay to come up to me in a restaurant and say, I think what you wear is disgusting and I think your makeup is horrible and I don't like you.
Oh my God.
What are you following me for? What are you watching my stuff for?
Why are you even talking to me then? Why are you coming over to, like, that's
And do you
horrendous.
think what you've shared with me is going to change what I'm doing? No. So we'll address the trolls. And I think it's important that we acknowledge that young people are probably going to see and hear this. And for that, I'm speaking to you. And what I'll say to you is this. There's a lot of young, talented people out there right now, and they are terrified of putting themselves out in social media because their friends at school, people who bully them are going to get on and do that. They're going to do it anyway. They're going to do, if they're not doing it to you, they're doing it to other people. But that is more to do with the issues that they have with themselves and their own confidence. And I can promise you that they are looking at you going, I wish I had the confidence to do that. It's resentment. It has nothing to do with you personally or what you're doing. It's more about themselves going, I just hate that they're getting ahead and I'm not. Well, I know what I'll do. I'll take them down a peg or 2. I don't deal with trolls online. I will delete, block and move on with my fabulous life. And I see an awful lot of influencers address trolls, and they actually almost make their page about addressing trolls. And I find it a bit disappointing because, you know, you could have 40 people telling you that the post was amazing or that it was great or that I loved what you did or whatever. And then you can have one person say one mean thing and you will focus all your attention on that person. And 2 things have happened. You've ignored all the other people that gave you an honest, great, positive experience, and you've given the troll what they want, which is attention. They want attention through hiding behind something, because they'll never get attention by just putting their true self out there. So what you've actually done is you've rewarded the behaviour, and it's no different to a child who's misbehaving. You ignore the bad behaviour. You do not reward the bad behaviour. You acknowledge the good behaviour and you promote that. And that's why I deal with very little of it online. Like, I suppose the common one that I get all the time is about my eyebrows, because I draw my eyebrows on. Okay, so let's just talk about the elephant in the room. I've no eyebrows. Okay, I was accosted at about 14 years of age and had my eyebrows plucked off me, and it was a traumatic experience. But I did have one eyebrow at the time, so I just had one going across the top of my forehead. So, you know, it was a necessary evil. Was it necessary to, like, do it against my will? Probably not, but you know, I went around the 80s and 90s with 2 skipping ropes for eyebrows. I just had this permanently shocked look on my face. And then, of course, the full eyebrows came back into fashion. So, of course, Julie's frantically drawing them in. And now they're bringing in the thin eyebrows again. I'm like, listen, lads, listen.
We've lived
You can't unring a bell, right? They're gone. They're gone. So get over it and deal with it. Or they'll say things like, oh, her forehead is massive. And I'm like, What do you expect me to do with that
that's what I
information? Do you want me to
can't
shave off the
understand.
top of my head and like put the cap back? Like, what are you talking about?
And that's what I was shocked when I'd seen all the comments under it. It was nothing to do with anything. It was just mean.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? Like, if you have something even constructive to say, like, and that it might not be the nicest, but this was just mean.
And I've had
stuff.
lovely debates with people online. I've had debates under people's videos where I've had a lovely, logical, reasoned, respectful debate with people. And at the end, I always go, listen, thanks a million for just having a lovely, logical debate back and over. And I love that. And I'll debate with anybody. But you see, the minute people start going to name calling, they've lost the argument.
100%.
And that's why they're in the name calling stage, because they have nothing else to say about what's happening. So they'll resort to name calling because they're just frustrated and they want to win the argument. And it's more about winning the argument than it is about actually maybe trying to change your mind. Or, you know, nobody has ever changed my mind by telling me my eyebrows are a state. Not going to happen.
I can't understand it. And it is a fear. And I mean, I thought that. I laugh now, the innocence of me. I thought I was going to wake up the next day with loads of followers and people were going to be trolling me. It doesn't happen. But it's a fear for people in business because you're vulnerable. Because I'm putting my face, my voice, my opinion, myself out there into the world. And you're vulnerable. And it's scary. It's a scary place to be. So if there's people in business thinking, oh, I'd love to do it, but I'm not, I am so afraid. Also for me, I sometimes don't know what to post. People are like, post every day, and you're like, about what? And I'm so busy, I don't have the time. And like, my life's just not that interesting.
Yeah.
So they're the two things that I think stop people posting.
Yeah.
Have you any tips? Let's start with the fear first and then move on to the content. Maybe.
Well, it's that famous quote, feel the fear and do it anyway. Do it in spite of being fearful of it. The whole reason I got started on social media was a friend of mine, who I fondly call Vanny, had said to me, you are hilarious. You're so funny. Like, would you not go on social media? And I was like, the only thing I was aware of at the time was the book face. Like, that was it. I was in grandma mode. Like, there was nothing else going on with Julie. And I was like, really? And she said, yeah, like, you should be on Instagram. There's loads of people on Instagram. They're really funny and they do what you do. And like, she said, Julie, you have us in stitches all the time. I was like, okay, all right. So I put a video up on Instagram, and I always call Instagram the snobby sister of social media.
Okay.
It's very discerning and it only pushes certain content at certain times and what have you. So I was like, okay. So I put one up and I was like, Fanny, what are you on about? Like, this is rubbish. And I tripped upon TikTok because I saw a lot of people using TikTok. And I was like, I'll give this TikTok a go. So I put up a video about the Irish mammy going into the supermarket and the kids throwing everything into the trolley. And you're like, if you put one more thing into I'm going to brain you when I get you out to the car. And it took off 500,000 views. It just went viral. Radio stations were sharing it and stuff. And it was like that. It was instant. And I was like, I have found my people.
Okay.
Welcome. Come in. And I will make you laugh. So that's kind of where it started. And it's something that I talk to people a lot is they go, I've had a video go viral, but I'm not getting that anymore. And it's almost like an addiction for some of them. They're chasing that high.
Yes.
They want that viral experience again.
Okay.
And I'm like, listen, not everything you post is going to go viral, but it doesn't matter. The way I look at it is I have 16.1 thousand people on TikTok that will potentially see any content that I put out at any point. And the way I look at that is I wanted to either entertain them, make them laugh, or uplift them. That's all. That's what is your purpose for setting up your social media account. So that's the first thing you need to do is ask yourself, why am I doing this? Am I doing this to generate business for my whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm selling? Or am I doing this for a different reason? And you need to know what your purpose is. So in your interest, your purpose is I'm trying to talk to people who are looking for what I do and my expertise. That's a smaller window than I want to make people laugh, because everybody wants to laugh unless you're miserable. If you're miserable, don't follow me. But in general, you're trying to sell something, and I am blue in the face telling people in business, where's your TikTok account? Where's your Instagram? Where's your Facebook? Oh, we're on LinkedIn. And? Are all your clients on LinkedIn? Are all the people that you talk to every day? Because I'm telling you now, there are people at home watching your TikTok or your video and saying, well, I must get on to my friend and tell her about this, because I know that she was struggling with her business, and I must tell her about Sharon.
And that is exactly. So some people had said to me, don't go on Instagram with your business, your people aren't there. But I'm like, I'm on Instagram all the time and I'm a business owner. So other business owners are on Instagram, I can tell you that. And then I started to get business. So it was somebody's friend, somebody's wife, somebody's sister, somebody's brother who saw me and said, I saw this girl, you need to link in with her. And then you see the followers, that's how I saw it. And that's how I started to get business. And I said, this is actually a place to get business. And what I have done on, say, my Instagram is I show more of the personal side of me. But what I loved was when I meet customers, they say, you're exactly the same when I meet you. That you are. So it's not like a different persona. I'm not like, you know, my professional, hi, I'm Sharon Farrell and I'm myself. And if you don't like that, that's okay. But if you do, this is who you're going to get all the time. And I show up the same.
Absolutely.
So that's what I do when I'm on LinkedIn. I'm more professional. I'm a professional self on LinkedIn. And I won't post the same stuff. Sometimes I will, but generally I have a more personal side.
100%.
That's what people want to see.
But I'm not I've done a stand-up comedy gig. I'm not a comedian at work. Does some of my personality come into my day? Absolutely. I'm a very personable person. I'm a very friendly person. I'm exceptionally helpful. I don't see titles and levels. I see people. And I literally am like that kid in The Sixth Sense. Like, I just see people. I don't see you. You come to me as a person and you go, Julie, I need help or advice on that. I don't look at you and go, well, I'm going to give you, you know, this, Julie, because you're this person. You're all the same to me, and I treat everyone with the utmost dignity and respect to start with, and be very friendly and professional. But on Instagram, I'm an absolute fool. Like, I'm making an idiot of myself.
I mean, they're hilarious. And I love them.
I have to change legs now. This one's gone numb. But, you know, for me, it's like, people need to understand that you are allowed to have a personality. You are allowed to work and be an exceptionally professional, dedicated, committed, hardworking person at work. But you are allowed to have personality outside of work. You are allowed to have something for yourself. And I'm a very creative person. So that's a huge outlet for me. And it's a huge outlet for my family, because now I'm not bringing it to bear on them. And they're not going, oh my God, your jokes are so cringe. And I'm like, you're not my audience. You don't get me. You don't understand.
How do the kids feel about you being on TikTok? And like, I'm sure their friends say, oh, I saw your mum's TikTok.
Yeah, like, I think I had a moment to pause there when they kind of said people at school have started to pick up on your TikTok, ma'am. And I did have a moment of, see, I never would have stopped for any other reason, because for me it was like, it's something that I do creatively. It's like, I'm a writer as well, so I write a lot, and it was something, it was for me. So I kind of felt a little bit like robbed. I felt like they've come into my house and seen around it without me asking them.
Okay.
And I felt a bit exposed in that way, and I thought, I never want something that I'm doing to have an impact on my children negatively.
Okay.
So it did give me pause to kind of go, should I stop this? And I thought, no, I shouldn't stop this, because this is for me. I'm not on social media swearing, being inappropriate, doing anything like that. I often compare myself to Peter Kay. Like, my comedy is very vanilla. It's the take on the Irish mammy. My audience is women like myself who are at home going, oh, I can totally relate to that.
Yeah.
The dishwasher.
Or kids tagging their mum, this is you, mum, this is you. Yeah.
This is a 100% you, and all that. So, you know, that's my audience. So that, then I pushed through that, and the kids have no issue with it at all. Obviously, I don't put them on it. And I keep, again, it's about keeping those sections of your life separate and not letting them
because work is not on it either. You're just keep it about.
Absolutely. It's a personal thing for me. It's a side of me that I get to have. And I just think when we grow up, when we become parents and we become involved in our careers, I think we start to quiet away pieces of ourselves. And it's really sad, because, like, you know, I see my mum, and my mum was a very, very witty person. And like, I get a lot of my sense of humour from my mother. Like, she was really sharp, like, you know. And I always say, like, a lot of it is influenced from her, because she was very, she had a saying for everything. And I mean everything. So, like, you know, you get these inspirations and you take all these pieces of yourself. But I think, you know, as an adult, you need to understand it's okay to still have fun. It's okay to still have that youthful part of yourself. And, like, what are we working for if not to have fun and to enjoy that part of our life?
We can forget to have the crack. Whether it be when you become a parent, you kind of feel like you have to be deadly serious, or
all
in work, you have to be all the time, and it shouldn't be. And that's where we kind of come sad.
But that's why you will notice people in the corporate world, the people who are best at it actually have great charisma. So if you think of a couple of CEOs that you know are great leaders, they have great charisma. It's what sets them apart from the other people that would have gone for the same role, have the same qualifications, same title, everything. And they've taken probably the exact same road in their education, but they just have that something, that extra that people go, there's a likability factor about you.
Yeah.
Like eye contact, shaking hands with people, you know, making those connections with people where they go, I can put my faith in you as a leader and actually
and how
follow.
they feel when they're around. Like, you know, there's certain people. There's a guy, Niall Reck, he was actually on this podcast. He's a very good friend of mine. He's just good to be around. He's just a nice guy, and he makes you feel good and calm and relaxed. And his energy is good energy, and it's good to be around. And if you sit in beside him at a meeting or something, he kind of makes everybody feel okay. It's a nice energy. And yeah, you're right. It's them people skills and how people feel when they're around you.
And you can't teach that.
No.
You can't go to college and learn this. This is about honing it yourself and working with someone like myself to kind of help you bring out, because it's there. It's just that you haven't learned to bring it out because of whatever your background or your upbringing or even your own personality, that maybe you're a bit of an introvert. But if you want to succeed and move on in what you're doing, you have to be able to look people in the eye, talk to them, you know, make that connection. And it's all about being sincere. See, a lot of people will do it, but they don't come across as sincere. And people go, I'm just getting a feeling off that person.
And they don't know what it is.
There.
And it's not that they're bad people, but they have this, it's an unbalanced, it feels fake, but it's just that they're trying too hard, or they're trying to use somebody else's charisma to fit them and be like them. But it's like, that's not who you are.
Yeah, and I think it's knowing where your energy level is. So like, I mean, I've done a lot of work on myself in terms of who am I, like what am I like as a person. So I'm quite an impulsive person. I'm a very creative person. But I'm also, my energy level is like a 10. Like I'm a 10 person. And 10 people can really grate on people who are 4s. Like I will irritate you if you're a 4, because you're like, oh, that one just, oh, I just can't. Like she comes in every morning. It's like, like I just want to say, pick a window, Julie, you're leaving. Like, so I have to be very aware of that. And it's not that I need to temper down my energy. It's that I need to be aware that a 4 is just not going to work well with me. So if I'm in a project with someone who's a 4, I need to be a little bit more mindful of how I'm speaking to that person, because I am going to grate on them. Because, you know, I'm like, let's go, guys. And they're like, go where and how? And what are you talking about? And I think if you're aware of where your energy level is, you can bring your level up to. So if you're a 4, I'm not telling you to hang around with people like me, because I will drive you to drink. I'm telling you to hang around with a 6, with a 7 at work. Do not hang around with 4s.
Or 2s.
Yeah, because what the 2s will do is they'll bring you down to their level, and you'll find that you're even more comfortable now at a 2 as that you were at a 4. And you're just more unhappy. Whereas if you want to actually move on, you need to align yourself with people who are either just above your energy level or kind of a little bit higher again. But like I said, when you need that boost in work, find those people that give you that, I love having a coffee with Sharon, because I always walk away laughing, and I'm ready for my day then.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it is so important. I was working with a business coach last year, and now sometimes I have learned to temper my energy, right? Because he said to me, if you think it'll spook a horse, it's too much, Sharon. It's too much. Because I wasn't always aware of my energy, particularly in work. I get really excited then.
Yeah.
But it's other people are like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
It's too much. Too much. So I work at it. I work at it. But I would try to be very self-aware and look at other people and their energy. And as I said, the shadow that I can cast, and particularly when you're the leader in the role in the business, because you're the leader, and what you say matters, and it could really impact somebody. But when I'm in a room then with other business people, I can be the same, bit loud, bit the loudest in the room, and I try not to always be. It's like just, do you know what was great for me? Zoom, because I had to unmute myself. So I had to just give myself a second to think, do I really want to add this? Or do I just want to shut up for a minute? So I'd say, I'll say nothing. So that was good training for me. It was like, okay, because sometimes I'll try and fill a silence in a room, you know, because maybe if somebody's, say, doing a course, if they're teaching a course, I know they want the interaction.
Yeah.
So I'll say, no, Sharon, wait, let somebody else do it. And I'm like, nobody else is going to say anything. Okay, I'll say it now. But I just would have jumped in historically. So I have to mind that.
And I do the same. I do the exact same, because I'm a person looking at the person who's presenting or talking. I'm like, they want you to engage. They don't want the same person to engage, but if nobody else is going to put the hand up, I will. But it's something that I've learned in my 40s, and I'm only 40 for not that many years, is being comfortable in a silence. Like, don't be afraid to throw the bomb in the middle of the room, and just let it happen, and just sit back and let other people figure it out. And it's all about letting them do it intuitively. So the thing is, when you go into a course or you go into a room full of people and they're looking for engagement, the people who are introverts normally, and they do want to get involved, but when they're in that room, they will identify people like you and they'll go, oh, she's a speaker, or let her do it. I just can't be dealing with this. But if you let them sit in the silence long enough, they are more uncomfortable in the silence than what you are, and they will get involved more quickly. And when I do public work with people, nobody gets away with it, because if nobody speaks, I'll pick you out. I'll identify the introverts in the room like that. So if I'm ever in a room with you and I'm speaking, I'm going to find you and I'm going to pick you out. So you might as well just speak, because I'm going to find you and I'm going to pick you out.
Because you might see them going to take a breath, and I'd often say, oh, I think Julie wants to say something. Did you, Julie? I really try and encourage people, particularly women, because I find, and then if they get going, they're grand. But it's trying to get them going. But I'm also dying for the person presenting, because I'm like, they need somebody to say something. They're going to think they're terrible, and they're not.
They're not.
So I have to be mindful of that, and I've learned that as I've gotten older. It's like, shut your mouth, Sharon. Just say nothing. Let somebody else say it. Be
comfortable in the silence. It's okay for a silence, because I used to do that. I used to go into a room, and even if I was more particularly on one-on-one, if I sat in a room and somebody was an introvert and they were quiet, I was like, blah, 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 blah. And my husband would say to me, what was that? And I'd be like, oh, they're quiet, and I didn't know what to do, and I just kept talking, and I don't even know what I said now. And he'd be like, it's okay to actually just
sit
be
in silence.
Like, you don't feel like you always have to carry the conversation. It's okay to let other people. And he said, they're introverted, so they're going to think more about what they want to say first. So while you're doing blah, they're like, I can't even think about what I want to say, because you will not stop talking.
So I'll be mindful of that. I am. I'm much better at it now than I was. But I would just die for other people and my energy. When he said that to me, if it'll spook a horse, I'm like, okay, rein it in, Sharon, rein it in.
And I want to round back on what you were saying about businesses on social media, right? And, them saying like, oh, it's not going to work for me. So I did a talk recently with Network Ireland Kilkenny, and that talk came from TikTok. Like, thanks to TikTok, that happened. So I gave a shout out to Anne, who is the president of Network Ireland Kilkenny, and I gave a shout out to her business, because that's what I use my platform for, as I've done for yourself.
You have.
I see amazing people with amazing businesses or amazing talents, and I see them like 700 followers, 800 followers, and I'm like, I want to use my platform to throw that rope back and say, this hasn't taken off for whatever reason, but I love what they're doing, and I want you to engage with it, so I'm going to engage with it, give them a shout out and help with their followers and their engagement. And that's what happened. And then about a year later, I'm taking a walk up Kilkenny, and at the Christmas market, she had a stall there, and she was like, oh my God, this is meant to be. Would you come and give a talk to Network Ireland? It was a sold out event. It was a fantastic night. I was getting messages about it for weeks later, and the response was incredible. Following on from that, obviously with Nicola Connolly Byrne, I mean, I had reached out to Nicola. Nicola and I are now great friends as well. And through that, I met you. So, like, don't tell me social media doesn't work. I'm here today because of TikTok.
And it works. It does work for business. People think because it's TikTok, they have to be funny on their social media. They just have to be themselves.
You don't have to be funny, because then you're competing with me, and I don't want you to be funny. Then who's going to follow me? But I do personally feel like there was a great guy, I can't remember his name, a lovely gentleman, and he was a solicitor, and he used to say, that's the truth and that's a fact.
That's the law and that's the fact. He passed
and
away.
He passed away, Lord have mercy on his soul, but he was phenomenal, and the following he had, because his information was relevant, it was current, it was meaningful at the time. He spoke a lot around COVID and what employees' rights were and things like that, and he just took off because he was sincere, he spoke about what he knew about, and that's all you need to do.
Yeah. So if somebody's starting off and they're in business and they're saying, okay, I'm absolutely terrified, where would you say they should start?
I would say start with putting up even pictures. So if you're not comfortable being in front of a camera yet, take some photographs, take a picture of your table and your laptop and your thing, and obviously don't put up people's personal information. Please, for the love of God, don't do that. But be like, hey, we're working on a great project today and we're so excited about it and things are going really well. So you can always talk about things in very broad brushstrokes without actually ever really giving away a lot of information.
Yeah.
You can get more comfortable as you go along. But what I will say to you is, we're in a completely different environment now. People do not invest in things that they don't know the story of. And the businesses that are doing really, really well out there, people know their story. If you take Doe Brothers, if you take businesses that have the story behind them, people are like, oh, I know them. You feel like you know the person.
Yes.
So when I feel like I know Sharon Farrell, I have more faith in approaching her to do business with her because I feel like I've seen a little bit more behind her before I've ever met her.
Yes.
And that advertisement, so you might do a video in January 2020 and maybe 30 people saw it. But that ad is always sitting there. It's free. It's not costing you or your business anything except a few minutes of your time to have put that up. So somebody at some point could come across that and it generates a lead for your business. Yeah. Why wouldn't you do this? Why are you not doing this?
Yeah, and it is a fear. And once you start, it gets easier.
You remove it. And please just do not listen to people that put up nasty comments. Just delete, block and move on. And just honestly ignore it. It's nothing to do with you. It's their issue. Let them go off and deal with themselves and do some work on themselves. You give them the attention, they'll come back harder. They'll keep on coming. If you give them that attention, they'll keep coming. So delete, block and move on.
And then maybe if people are afraid of getting like a negative review from a customer.
Listen, you're going to get negative reviews whether you put yourself on social media or not. And I think that's a big fear that a lot of companies have is what if we put ourselves out there and then we get absolutely trashed by people? Look at Ryanair. Ryanair get assassinated on social media and they actually roast the people that come for them. Like they give out about the window on row 11. That's literally like a world famous joke now. There is no window at row 11 except if you book that seat, you're not getting a window. Like, and they've made a joke out of it. So you can be very clever with how you deal with these things. You can either ignore it or you can actually use it and leverage it to your business.
And if somebody genuinely does have a complaint, deal with it.
I see people, the best way to deal with the complaint, if somebody puts a complaint on your page or what have you, you put up and you say, thank you so much for your feedback. Can you please contact such and such an email or such and such a number and we'll speak to you about it, blah, blah, blah. So deal with the complaints, deal with that, because that's coming. If you don't have a page, they're still going to do a video. And I guarantee you, it'll actually nearly be more likely to go viral because people then think, what are they hiding? Why don't they have social media? Everyone has social media.
And everybody does look. If I want to engage with a business, I look LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, website.
Yes.
I want to see everything.
Yeah.
And I want to see different things on different platforms. I want to see who they are.
Yes, you want to get a full picture of what this company is about. Show me your mettle. Show me what you're about.
So they should. I think it's important. Times have changed and how we advertise has changed
completely,
and everyone, and like nobody's looking at TV ads. When the ads come on, I'm on my phone if I'm on the television, but I'm mostly on Netflix and Disney and whatever else.
That Sky ad has ruined it for everybody. You know that guy going, he has ruined advertising for everybody. And people go, oh, well, they're getting what they want because everyone's... No, they're not. People hate it. Get rid of that ad, please, because nobody wants to hear that guy. I mean, I literally, I break out in a rash and I get shaky if I haven't got the remote control near me to move on from it. And I feel sorry for the ad that follows them because nobody's watching it. If you're advertising after that Sky ad, just pull your ad because nobody's watched your ad.
But everybody just goes onto their phone. They're on their phone, and that's where you should be. On their phone. People, when they're on the bus, when they're on a train, when they're travelling, when they're at the airport, phone, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. They
and
want to be
games.
entertained.
It's a missed trick that a lot of people are missing out on is gaming.
Tell me about this.
So a lot of people love playing games to keep their brain going, to keep them occupied if they're on the bus, on the train, and they don't want to be kind of... A lot of people feel that their social media is very private and personal to them. So they're like, I don't want the guy beside me to see what I'm doing and who I'm following and what I'm liking, because I don't want him to judge what I'm doing. So a lot of people will resort to game playing while they're on public transport and stuff. So if you're sitting there and you're playing a game, a lot of the ads will push in on the game halfway through certain levels and stuff. So a lot of games will advertise on games, but I'm starting to see that businesses are starting to advertise on games now as well.
Good.
And it's very much a missed trick on a lot of big businesses. They should be advertising in between games.
I didn't know that.
You're going to get more advertisement hits from that than you are putting it on TV.
And on podcasts, if anyone wants to sponsor us.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Sponsor me. Hi. I'll take your
I'm available for sponsorship.
I do birthdays, weddings, bar mitzvahs.
Anything and everything. No, it is. That's where it is. And I think the old-fashioned way, because I know I talk to people in big corporates and they have a marketing department. They're not with it.
Yeah.
Most of them are not with it. They're like 20 years ago. They're still doing stuff, and the bigger corporates, you just need to look at social media.
But there's a big problem there as well, Sharon, and that is they are held back by the decision makers.
That's what I mean.
So you can have a phenomenal marketing department, young blood, fresh, great ideas. They know social media. They've been using it since they were 2.
Young people are brilliant.
You've handed them a book and they go like this, and you're like, no, it's a book. It's not a device. But they know this whole environment inside out and back to front. It doesn't mean they know how to market on it, though. So be very, very careful of that.
Okay.
What I will say, though, is you have the decision makers fearful and going, so they're putting these ideas together, they're putting great campaigns together, and then it's like, no, we're not going to do that. No, we're not going to do this. So what I would say is be a little bit more open to that and kind of let them try things. And if things don't work, you can always delete it. You can always remove it. Like, you go with your general rule of thumb. You don't have anything inappropriate on it. You're not swearing on it. You're not. There's no aggression in it. As long as what you're doing is informative, there's a call to action at the end, and that it's an ad that you feel shows your business in a great light. Go with it. Have a little bit of fun with it as well. Like, don't be afraid to put a little bit of fun into something so that it can kind of catch people's attention and it's going to stay with them. I mean, you think of some of the best ads when you were a child. What was your favourite ad as a child?
Well, the one that I loved at Christmas was the pennies, because the song "Pennies Got a Whole Lot of Things." I loved that, but I loved the flake ad and the guy, was it the Black Magic, and he was the guy all dressed in black.
Yes,
I loved that. I loved the crumbliest, flakiest chocolate, and you wanted to eat her and the bar. She's lying in the boat. Loved that. They were my favourites.
Yeah, mine was Toblerone. You remember that one?
No.
Toblerone.
Oh yes, I do.
Out on its own, triangular chocolate. Like, I know that song beginning to end, front to back. You think of the Coca-Cola ad at Christmas, and when that truck comes through that hill, I'm like, it's Christmas.
It's Christmas.
Like, it's not Christmas without that ad. So, like, there are things that you can do that people can identify your business with and make you unique. Like, Santa has nothing to do with Coca-Cola, but now you ask any kid, if you put a Santa in front of a kid, they'll nearly go Coca-Cola because they have actually identified it so closely. So, you can get very clever with your marketing, just being open to new ideas.
Try things. Don't be afraid to try things. And it is scary. I always fall down on the call to action piece. I've delivered my great piece of advice, and then I just say thank you, and I just can't do. And then when I do it, I sound so weird.
And I've told you so many times.
I know you have, and I'm working on it. And then when I put it in, I delete the video. I'm like, no, I sound too desperate. I don't want to put a call to action. I'm like, follow me for more. I just can't do it.
Well, you don't even have to say follow me for more. So here's a couple of things you can say. Contact us. So then it's not saying me. So you don't feel like you're saying me. You're saying contact us. We're a team. Yes. It's not me, Sharon, it's contact us, the team. So it's just, there's language matters, and there's lots of little ways that you can tailor something and change it just a little bit, but it makes a massive difference.
You're right, it is. And get some help. Like, I think, just work with somebody. We don't have a marketing department, it's me. So I'm going to start working with you. You're going to help me on some ideas for the business. And just somebody to bounce ideas off that they'll say, cringe, Sharon, no. Or that's good, I like that. Or think about it in a different way. Or maybe look at it in it's somebody else to have ideas that actually is using the platform. So I think that's important, because I'm so busy and everybody is doing other things. Then it's like, okay, I have to put a social media post up, and then I'm like, I don't know what to post.
Take a picture.
Yeah.
Take a picture of a diary and go, so much going on today. It's not necessarily about all content. It's about just regularly keeping people in line. It's the thing of, in line? What am I talking about? It's keeping people in contact with you. They want to know you. They want to see what you're doing. And a lot of great content creators don't say a word. Look at Carl Henry. Every post Carl Henry does, he's sitting on the floor and he's going... That's his post. But he puts in his tips and tricks. Like he'll say, tips and tricks for somebody who's over 50, how to work out. And he'll go... He doesn't open his mouth. But he gets great engagement in his
So people maybe that have a
postings.
product can just do a little thing. They don't have to put their face on. They
Do
can
a
just show their
video
product.
and literally do that and then put in the text afterwards. You don't even have to open your mouth.
Yeah, yeah.
Like there are so many clever ways that you can promote yourself, advertise, talk to people about what you're doing during the day. And that's the thing is, it's not just always about, here's my business, here's what I'm doing, you know, contact me. It's, here's what I'm doing every single day. Here's the things that we're doing today. It's a beautiful day outside. Take a picture of a lovely sunrise. And people go, oh, that's lovely.
Yes.
It's just keeping your content in their page, because what happens is the less you post, the algorithm pushes your content down. So the next time you do post, you're so far down that it won't take off for you.
Okay.
But the beauty with TikTok is like come one, come all. Everyone's welcome on TikTok. And the thing that's beautiful about TikTok is it's all about engagement. If people engage with something you've put up, they will push it up and push it up and push it out. But if people don't engage with it, they won't push it out. And then what you'll find is more of your content will tend not to be pushed out. But what it's always doing is pushing your content to people who do engage with it. So they'll always say, Julie, here's a post from Sharon. We know you like to engage with her.
Okay. Because I think what people are afraid of is I only have 10 followers. And I'm like... or 100 followers. I'm like, if 100 people showed up outside my office and said, we'd like to engage with your business, I'd be delighted.
Yeah.
So don't worry about comparing yourself with other people's pages or other people's following, or it doesn't really matter. If you get one sale from 100 followers, it's like, yay, brilliant. And I don't want everybody. I don't want my friends. I want people who want to engage with our business.
Yes, and I will also say to you that likes do not transfer into sales either. So like there are people who have massive followings and they will put up loads of content and people will like it. And you look at people who have big followings and look at their pages and you will see people like their stuff and they could get 30, 40, 100,000 likes on a video. Then they'll put up an ad, 200 likes. Because people don't like being advertised to in that very upfront, direct way.
Yeah,
so they're like,
sell.
I'm following you, Julie, because you're funny, you're uplifting and you're motivational. I'm not following you to sell me that. And that's why when I do something on my page, it's something that I've bought, that I go, I love that. Sorry to the sound people, I just hit the mic. I love this product and I've purchased it myself and I can recommend it to you. So it's a genuine, sincere post, not I got this PR box and I'm pushing it because I'm getting paid for it.
The minute somebody wants to sell to me, I'm like, nope.
You turn off completely.
But if they say, if it's something that if I really know them and I trust them and I like them, and then I'm like, oh, they're doing a makeup course, I'm actually, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that.
Yeah.
Because I've built a relationship with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I suppose we have to think of social media like the first time you meet somebody. If somebody comes in and says, hi, would you like to buy my product?
Yeah.
You'd be like, go the jets.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of warm it up and get to know them and do what you would, like romance them.
Yeah, think of it like a networking event that you go in and you go, hi, my name is Sharon, this is what I do. What do you do? Show interest in the people that are following your page as well. Another great tip for people, especially if you're starting out, ask questions, do polls.
Okay.
So even you could have fun with it and say, what do you think is the best way to do this? And you'd go this or this, and then people start answering. People love to feel that you're directly...
I will always answer a poll. Yes, no, this one, that one, always. And it's
never seen you do a poll.
I never did.
Never seen her do a poll, but she answers every poll she sees.
I know.
So ask yourself,
but I'm like,
what's working?
What could I do a poll on? This is where I'm stuck. I'm like, oh.
I have a networking event to go to. Which outfit should I wear? Should I wear this blue suit or should I wear this red dress? What do you think, guys? Tell me what you think.
Okay, so it doesn't always have to be about...
No, it doesn't always have to be about credit control.
Yes.
Because who wants to talk about credit control?
Yeah.
Even people that need credit control help don't want to talk about it.
True. So I could, of course
them.
I could, do other stuff.
Absolutely.
That's why I need you. That's why I need you, because I'm like, it's difficult.
Sharon, you had me at hello. You know that.
I know. But I did. I was like, and because you have a similar background to me, and you know my business, and you know what I'm doing, and you know the importance of it.
Yeah.
It was a really good fit for me.
Yeah.
So, because it's something business people are afraid of, but want to do. And it is great when you start doing it. It's brilliant. And the first sale I got off Instagram, I was absolutely over the moon. And it was a wife who'd been following me for ages. And then her husband rang me and says, my wife follows you on Instagram.
Yeah.
And she was telling me, you do X, Y, and Z. And that was my first sale. And I was so happy, because I said, this actually does work. Because sometimes you feel like, I'm posting, am I wasting my time?
No, you're not.
But we're not. We're absolutely not.
It's there forever. It's there for people. And like, you know yourself, when you find an account you really like, you'll actually go through quite a few of their posts. You'll go back and go, let me see what they're really like.
Yeah.
And you go back through their posts and you're looking at all that they're doing. So it's never a waste of time, because it's free advertising. If you pay for a TV ad, if you pay for radio, if you pay for a billboard, it's there. It's a quick hit. You might catch a few people and then it's gone. Pff, disappeared.
Right.
Your social media accounts are there forever to promote, advertise and talk to people and educate them about your business. And the other thing that you should be doing all the time is at least once every 2 months you do a reintroduction, because you've new followers come in and they're kind of trying to catch up as to, okay, who is she, whatever she's doing. And you saw me, I did one recently where it's like, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. And every so often when you see a little jump in followers, you should do a reintroduction and say, this is who I am and this is what I'm about.
Okay, very good. That's really, really good. Any other tips for us about the editing, and how do people do that? Or maybe if they're stuck for time, like maybe batch create, any ideas for that?
Absolutely. So something that I was talking to you about was you should have a calendar for the whole year. And I know that sounds like a lot, but what you do is you just have a notepad and you have ideas, and everyone on your team, if it's a business account, everyone on the team should be allowed to contribute to that. So anyone, any day could say, oh, I just had a phone call with somebody and this is actually a great idea for a bit of advice, Sharon, because we just experienced this. Or I just had this learning today, maybe we should do a video on that. And it's just there, and it's just a raw list of ideas, and like, oh, I think we should do a photograph for this, or we have an event coming up. The next thing you do is you list out all the events that happen through the year. International Women's Day, Christmas, Easter. What are all those dates? Get them all into the calendar, and you're like, okay, I'm going to do something maybe Christmas based around that, and kind of talk to, like for what you do in your business, you could be saying, look, Christmas time is a very expensive time of year for everybody, but in terms of a business, it's a really good time to start getting that money in and start collecting. So that's a really important conversation you can have with businesses at Christmas time. It's all about just planning ahead, because a lot of the times people just open the phone and go, I don't know what to say to people. But if you had a list of 50 ideas there, you'd go,
true.
Oh, I know what I want to do about that. I'll do that. Okay, and away you go. So it's just having those raw ideas, get everybody involved. And you know, you do not have to post every single day and talk about your business. You post all the time, but about different things. You're just keeping people engaged all the time, and then you drop in that lovely golden nugget that they're waiting for, and then you share that.
Okay, yeah. And what about batch create? Do you batch create them ever? Do you like do 3 or 4 in the one day and save them there and keep them?
Yes, I will often pre-record. So I'll either record first thing in the morning or last thing in the evening. And again, it's around times when it suits me, when it's quiet in the house and I don't have lots of people around. And we spoke about this before, it can be very tough. But I'll often record in the car, like record wherever you can. People do not care. Like, you know, okay, don't record in front of a rubbish tip behind you, but like people generally record in your car, do wherever it suits you. But a couple of things is always have the camera facing you. So like you should be facing the camera. You should not be looking up because you look like you're pleading. Don't be looking down because you look condescending. And don't be looking to the side because then you look shifty, like you look really like dodgy. I don't know if I can trust this person. So straight on into the camera is what you should be doing when you're posting. And it's about eyes open. And a lot of people as well, when they record, they'll kind of like, you know, all this kind of thing, like look directly, you're speaking to someone, and you'll find that the videos that you like the most are when people are looking straight at you in the camera. You really enjoy that.
Okay.
So talk to the people when you're doing a speaking video. Speak to people. directly.
Okay, I like that. I like that. That's really, really good because, yeah, and I never thought of the looking up, looking down thing.
Yeah. And like just, you know, you can have a couple of great ideas, and that's often what happens with us. We'll have a couple of great ideas. You'll do one video and you go, I have a great idea for another video. I'll do that another day. And the biggest mistake that I made when I was first starting in social media is I'd get a great idea and I'd go, oh, I'll that is hilarious. I will never forget it. I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow I'd come and I go, oh, what was that video? Oh no, that was so good.
I totally forgot. Yeah.
I voice record, so I'll say, Julie, and I'll talk to myself. I talk to myself a lot. Julie, do a video on blah, blah, blah. And I literally outline the idea of the video. And then I forget about it and I'll go back and go, what was that idea I had again? And anytime I'm stuck, it's there. So use voice note on your phone. Don't type it, because you'll often go to type it and you go, I don't have time. But if you voice record it, download the voice record app and just send yourself a voice recording and you can go back over those ideas anytime.
That's a brilliant idea. That's actually a brilliant idea, because you would often get ideas. Now, have you ever recorded outside? I have not been brave enough to walk around and record.
Yeah, I've recorded at the lake. I've recorded out. Yeah, I've done it a lot. I suppose what I do doesn't really lean itself to that, because you know, the Irish mammy doesn't go outside the door. She's just on the phone to Jacinta all the time, trying to keep her from going through life by accident. But I just find often when I'm recording, it's a quick hit, and what I'm doing is very different.
It's a moment.
But I wouldn't bother me in the slightest recording outside. No,
like even recording here today, and we're recording to do a pre-record. I went downstairs when the guys weren't here. I don't know. What am I afraid of? Judgment? I don't know.
Yeah, but why do you care? Because those people aren't paying your bills.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to judge me. They like me, I think.
Yeah.
But I would think that I'm always like, oh, what will people think?
Why do you care what people think?
I don't know. It's a barrier when we can't record in the office when it's busy because of GDPR. And if it picks up the sound of somebody saying something, we're asking for money for different companies. I can't.
No.
So I have to do it like that really early in the morning and really late in the evening. But I don't know with the outside thing. And I want to sometimes when I'm at an event, but I'm so shy about it.
No, it doesn't bother me in the slightest.
So I will do it and you will see me.
It.
Yeah,
because you know I set you challenges all the time, and I will hold you accountable to it. And I'll say,
I will do it.
Where's my outdoor content, Sharon? Yeah. Where is it?
Whispering into the phone. No. Yeah.
No, I've done recordings in my car before, and I could be parked outside the supermarket and I'm like really animated and I'm like in the phone like going, and next of all I just look over and there's a woman going, and I'm just like, hi. I'm on the talk. And they're like, you're nuts. But they drive off and forget about it, and I'm like, you're welcome, enjoy. I hope you get a laugh today. I've you know, like when we went to Barbarastown Castle, of course, Julie went in all svelte in her dress slimmer and walked into the bathroom, and here again is a lovely example of engaging with people. One of the lovely women who worked there came into the toilet, and she was, you know, she works there and she was fixing herself up and all. And I'm sure she made that split judgment of, oh, she's dressed really well, she won't speak to me. And I looked over and I said, hi, good morning, how are you? And she's like, oh, hi, how are you? She went, I just let you know your dress is up at the back. And I was like, oh my God. Now, I thought I ate and left no crumbs, but I actually had been walking around Barbarastown Castle with my dress hitched up. Now, there was nothing on show, but it was hitched up the wrong way and it looked awful. And it turned out that the stitching, it was a wardrobe malfunction. But had I not showed that little bit of acknowledgement and kindness to that woman, she could have walked out and went, her dress is not, I'm not telling her. You know what I mean? So like just showing that 2 seconds of acknowledgement and kindness and saying, hey, how are you doing? How's your day? And she went, I feel I can speak to her now and tell her.
Tell her now what's wrong. Yeah.
Do you realise you've paint all the way back up your dress there? Did you sit on a bench? You know, so like, you know, those things happen to me all the time where I have these lovely moments, experiences with people because
and that
I'm
is
open
how you meet people. It is in business. Do you know Colm O'Brien? Have you met Colm O'Brien? I'll do an introduction. He's a great guy. But he wrote a book called Feeding Johnny. I'm going to get him on here. He was on one that we recorded before we actually had a series. We were serious about it. But he wrote a book and he speaks about the man on the train.
Yeah.
He was on the train and he struck up a conversation with a man. Anyway, it ended up resulting in €1 million worth of business. And it was just that moment where he showed kindness to somebody, lifted his head up, introduced himself to somebody, shook hands, and it got him a great business deal. And he wasn't looking for a business deal or anything. He didn't know who the man was. But it's those kind of moments in life where you might show kindness, where you're a human, you shake hands with somebody, and they could result in business. And I just love that story. I'll send you his book, but I'll do an introduction. He's a fantastic guy. And he's my go-to guy now for advice or from having a yip in business. But they're the things that matter. And they're the things that can get you business that people are forgetting because, as you said, we're doing this. And we want them to do this when we're on TikTok, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And follow Julie. Julesrulesirl. IRL.
So IRL means two things.
What does it mean?
So Julesrulesirl IRL is Ireland, but also Jules rules in real life. Who rules? I rule. I rule. And like it's all a little bit of fun, and because I didn't know what IRL meant, and it was before I ever went on social media, something IRL came up, and I said to one of the kids, I said,
I never heard of that.
I says, what does IRL mean? Is that Ireland? And they just looked and they went, you're so embarrassing. It's in real life. And I was like, oh my God. And like, I'll often take the current terms that children say and I'll start using them to make them no longer cool. So like ate left no crumbs. I say that all the time. You know, or I'll just be like,
I absolutely love it.
And they hate it. And I live on that. Like, I am sustained if I'm embarrassing them. That just keeps me going for the day.
I love it, I love embarrassing
or
kids.
Slay. I'm like, slay girl. And she's like, stop. Please don't ever say that again. Yeah, it's brilliant. It's great fun.
No, you need to do it. It's a rite of passage. They have to be embarrassed by their parents. My dad would mortify me when we were kids. Absolutely mortify me. So I love doing it now back. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a rite of passage. It builds up your resilience. You're welcome.
Yes. Yeah, that's what we need to start doing more of. And what else? What way do people work with you? So if a woman wants to, like, listening to this now, or a business person or business owner wants to engage with you for maybe their social media or for their, you work with women like for business, for confidence, for tell me.
I suppose a lot of it that I have done it literally just, I find someone as amazing as you and I say, this person is incredible and I want to work with them. And I have reached out to some people and they go, yeah, great, thanks, we'll be in touch. Don't call us, we'll call you. We're not going to call you. And I think a lot of them are very uncomfortable with the fact that somebody has reached out to them and said, hey, I really think I can help you here. And they just kind of go, what's in it for her? There's nothing in it for me. I absolutely love helping women in business. I thrive on it.
And that's actually the truth. That is the truth.
Yeah.
And people just don't believe it. We're all
like, have I ever received a penny for anything I've done for you? No. And it's not about that for me. It's about seeing a woman who's absolutely incredible, knocking it out of the park and going, I think I can come in and add a little bit of value here and help her get to the next level that she wants to get to. And that makes me happy because I'm in something that I love. I'm in a job I love. I am respected, appreciated, uplifted, mentored, put on courses. I love what I do. And I'm in a situation, and when I was a single mom and I was struggling and I was going to college and I had 2 young children and all that, you know, I always said, if I ever get to where I want to be in my career, I will always help other women to move forward. And that's what I do.
And you really do. It's amazing. And everybody that meets you says that. Because I know we did a little thing for International Women's Day. Nicola Connolly Byrne had set it up and she had said it to me the day before.
I'm still not the better of that.
But everybody meant it. Yeah. Like straight away, I was like, yes, I was in the car. I was like, I'm recording this now. And I would have done that outside for you. I would have. But I meant it because it was like, no, she's the real deal.
Yeah.
It's not fake. It's not for likes. It's not for TikTok. It's not for Instagram.
It's all behind the scenes.
Genuine. Yeah.
I don't do this on social media. A lot of people don't know I do this. I reach out to people privately, like I did with you.
Yeah.
And I know even when I first reached out to you, you're like, yeah, okay, great, thanks. Okay, Nicola, who's this
looper?
I
did. I rang her straight away. I was like, Nicola,
who's this?
Who is she? And then she was like, oh no, she's lovely, Sharon.
She's the real deal.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I've done a lot of work with Laura Grufferty, and it was really funny because when Nicola reached out to everybody, and you're getting behind the scenes action here now, people. Yeah. So when Nicola reached out to everybody, she was like, lads, just send me like a 10-second video. Like, I just need 10 seconds of what you think of Julie and we're putting this together. I could kill her because I was on her podcast that day and she knew about this and she never said anything. I was like, oh my God. But Laura Grufferty did 1 minute and something like 15 seconds. I don't know, it was a really long... She was like, Julie, I didn't know how to... I had to cut it up to
get it down. Yeah.
But she said, she sent me on the full video then. She said, I have been asked by Laura. Will you please send her on the full video, because I need her to know exactly what I think of her.
My God,
and
isn't that so nice?
That just ended me that day, like, because it was like, I can't say in 10 seconds what I think of you, because I think so much of you. And it was so beautiful and it was so touching. And on days when I ever have a doubt, which would probably be rare, quite honestly, because I probably could do with taking down a peg or two in the old confidence boosting, but I will listen to that, and that will remind me why I do what I do for people. And it really is just to help. I just want to help. I want to take all the experience that I have.
It's genuine.
And I just want to help.
Yeah. So where do people reach you?
Well, you can find me on Julesrulesirl. I'm on the Bookface, I'm on the Instagrammy, and I'm on the TikTok. But I will say I have to be very mindful of my time, because obviously I'm a full-time working mom.
Yes.
I'm a happily married woman, and I'd like to stay happily married and make sure that I have time for hubby and the kids. And then obviously I'm a dog mama of 2, and then I have very demanding friends that obviously you know, sometimes go for walks without me, and we won't talk about that. And then I also have like the social media side of it. So yes,
you're busy.
I'm a busy person, and if I can help and add value in a quick way, I absolutely will. But there are specific people, I suppose, that kind of speak to me that I will reach out to and say, I'd love to work with you, I'd love to help you out.
Would you do a day event maybe? Would you consider doing something like that?
I probably will do something eventually, but I suppose it's lovely being invited. Like, I mean, you know, I was invited down to Kilkenny and I gave that talk, and I couldn't believe the response. And I couldn't believe the response afterwards, and I went, this is definitely something I need to do more of, because I'd rather help people in a
that's
big
what I mean,
setting.
in a big group, so that and it's time efficient for you then as well.
It's time efficient for me, and I can do it in my own time and not have it eat into what I'm doing then in my career. But yes, I do want to continue doing more of it. So if you're interested, you know, reach out and you can book me.
Yay!
You can book me.
Any lasting tips? Now, we could have actually stayed here and spoke about business. We had loads of other things that we wanted to talk about. So we will have you back on again. But just in terms of social media for businesses, somebody looking to start, say something to them. I know I'm putting you under pressure.
No, not at all.
Just to help them get going. Where do they start?
Just please start. Just start. Take a picture today. Take a picture of your desk, of your diary. Make sure there's nothing personal on it. Take a picture of what the sun looks like outside today. Oh, it's a bit of a dark day today, but it's not dark in here. We're working away and we're having a great time. And I'm not saying that you have to be positive all the time. You can always talk about your challenges too, but just start today. And you know, get into the groove of that. And once you get into the groove of it, you'll be amazed at how quickly you'll start doing it more. And do not do it with the expectation of, I'm going to go viral, or we're going to get 5,000 likes, or we're going to get this. A lot of people that will watch your content will always watch it and never engage. When I put a story on Instagram, I can get 300 to 500 people watching that. 300 to 500 people will watch my stories on Instagram. I will put the exact same video on Instagram and 30 people will like it. But 500 people have seen it on my story. So that's what I'm saying, is people are always watching, but they're not always engaging. Don't let that stop you from doing it. Keep going. Eventually something will hit, or eventually somebody will see your videos and go, I know somebody that could use her, or I know somebody that actually really needs her help, or I'm working somewhere and I'm going to go in tomorrow and say, this person does this and they're brilliant, and I've seen them on Instagram and I've been following them for ages, and actually they do this and I never knew it, because maybe you've done 6 or 7 videos that have nothing to do with what you do, and next of all you do something, they go, oh my God, I must get
X, Y, and Z
your man to ring her because she's brilliant. You know?
So it's to not give up and just start. And it's really important for businesses, and just stop and afraid.
It costs you nothing.
That's the thing.
It costs you nothing. And the amount of people that have massive marketing departments and are paying hundreds of thousands of euros, some of them are paying millions for massive marketing budgets, and they're not using social media. And I find that I actually accosted Pat McDonough, and I do apologise, Pat. I accosted him in the forecourt one day because he lives near me, and I saw him in the coming out, and I said, Pat, what are you doing with your TikTok? And he was like, what are you on about? And I said, Pat, you don't have a lot of followers on TikTok. Like, Supermax is a national brand, you're national sponsors, you should have a couple of 100,000 followers. They had maybe, I don't know, was it 40 or 50 at the time? I said, get onto your marketing department and ask them what they're at. And if it's your fault, back off and let them do what they need to do. Like, you know, you have to just tell people straight.
He's like, what, do you know him?
I don't see. He knows me now.
He knows you now. Yes, he does now. He didn't then.
But I'm sure he was looking going, like, I'm sure he was like, what is wrong with this person? But I just saw the opportunity and I went, I have to tell him straight, because I'm a straight
you
talker.
Do, and people need to hear it. I like people like that in my life. And I'd love somebody to come up in the street and say, do you know what your content isn't good, do X, Y and Z.
And that was the thing. I wasn't saying your content isn't good. I was saying you need more followers. You should be focused on that. Your clients are on TikTok. Your teenage clients are on TikTok.
Yeah, they are. You
should be advertising to them on TikTok.
100%. 100%. Yeah. So people get on your social media, set up an account, get going.
Now, I have 3 questions for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So I always ask anybody that I value their opinion this question, right?
Yeah.
So what are the 3 things that you do every day that set you up for success?
Exercise. And I have a mindful moment in the morning before I go to work. So I get up before everybody else is up and I have my coffee and I just get myself ready for the day. So that's every single day. And I have goals, and every day I will make sure that I do one thing that's working towards that goal. They're the 3 things that I do.
Excellent. Very good.
Every day.
Yeah. I think it's important to learn these things from people who are successful.
Yeah.
And I have asked lots of people. I've worked with some incredibly successful people over my years, and I always ask them, when the opportunity comes up, I will ask them that question. I'll say, what are the 3 things that you do every day without fail that set you up for success and that have, that contribute to where you've gotten?
Because I think with the goal thing, for me, it's like, and I worked with a lot of different coaches and mindset people, but it's like if you have the best sat nav in the world, but you don't put in where you want to go, you're not going to go anywhere. No. And if you don't start the engine of your car, you're not going to go anywhere. And if you don't press the accelerator, you're not going to go. So I write down what my goals are, and then I do one thing at least, sometimes it's 2 or 3, every day that I'm saying, that is me working towards my goal. Every day. The mindful moment, then I'm not a headless chicken in the morning.
Yeah.
So I have that every morning.
Yeah.
I'm up first, let the dogs out, I stand outside in the back garden, take a few deep breaths, and I just get myself ready for the day. And then the exercise for me, and that's not every day, but even if it's a walk, it just helps me manage stress.
And this is eerie because I asked this question to Nicola Connolly-Byrne, and I recorded her podcast almost a month and a half ago, and this is proof in the pudding. I said word for word what you said about the coffee. I get up, I'm the first up in the morning.
Are you?
I have my cup of coffee. I need to smell coffee beans in the morning or I'm violent. And you need to not approach me.
Until
we
you've
have
had
a written
this.
rule in my house. You don't approach me unless I have coffee and eyebrows in my hand. Like if I don't have eyebrows or coffee, I advise you don't approach. Like it's dangerous. But I get up every morning about 7 a.m. and I go out and I let the dogs out the back and I stand out the back every single day.
Me too.
Hail, rain, sleet or snow, I'll put on the coat and I will just stand there and smell that coffee and just let the serotonin hit me from being outside. And the other thing is I make the bed every morning.
Yeah, me too.
I have to make that bed, and unfortunately...
Sometimes he's still in it when I'm up.
Stop it now, because this is actually, I'm telling you word for word, like, I will make the bed with my husband in it and he's like, what are you doing? Like, please stop. He's in the bed. He's like, Julie, I'm literally here. And I'm like, I know, I'm just making my side because I need to walk back into my room and have that bed made, because no matter how bad my day has gone, I walk into my room and that is my sanctuary, and it has to be beautiful and it has to be pretty and it has to feel like a spa experience, and that's really that matters to my mental health.
Yeah,
like I have to have that bed made.
That. I heard a great saying years ago, and it said 2 things you must have is comfortable bed and a comfortable pair of shoes, because when you're not in one, you're in the other.
I love that.
Now, isn't that a great saying? I think it was in a book I'd read years ago. Comfortable shoes and a comfortable bed, because when you're not in one, you're in the other. And I love that.
That's so true.
But the making the bed, I'd heard somebody saying that I do that every day religiously. Like I kind of have a morning ritual.
Yeah.
But I do that every single day as well. So what is your 3rd thing? So
mindfulness. I have to just have those moments in the morning to plan out my day. And then what I'll do is I'll go in and I'll log on and I will take care of anything that I feel needs to be done first. So I'm a morning person, and I think a lot of people don't know whether they're a morning or an evening person. You need to figure that out for yourself. I am extremely motivated from 7 a.m. till about 3 p.m. After that, my productivity starts to drift off. And that's not a negative thing. That's just knowing who I am as a person. So I know that if I need to talk to people, I need to set meetings in the morning ideally. I know that if I need to get something done, I need to catch myself in that window between 7 and 9 to get those things done while everybody else is sleeping, as in my own arrogance, I think I'm the only person awake in the whole world. But it feels that way because it's so quiet and the phone's not ringing and you haven't got people running and, ma'am, where's my shoes? Where's my runners? Where's my school bag? You're just in that moment of real productivity. And if you're a late person and you find that your productivity is in the evening, make space for that. Yeah. You know, make space for your most productive time in the day and plan the really challenging stuff for those moments. And then when you're not at your 100%, that's when you do things like, right, I'll respond to these few emails, I'll get this done, I'll do this job that doesn't require a lot of my thought, so I'll do this now. And that's what I'm doing at the end of the day is I'm planning for the next day and I'm kind of, okay, what's the first thing that I need to do tomorrow? Because I'm not going to do it right now because I'm not at my most productive.
Yeah, I'm a morning person, definitely. I get up at 5.
Yeah.
And I'm on because like my kids have to be on the bus at 10 to 8, so they're up at 7. It's anarchy. So no, I have to be up that little bit earlier. And I've trained myself to get up earlier. I used to kind of be 6, but I go up at 5, 5:30 now. And then that just gives me that time. And I need it, Julie, because if I don't have that, I'm Satan. And like if I've stayed up late and I don't get up on time, then I'm nuts for the day. Yeah. And nothing runs smoothly. And I feel like I'm chasing my tail. And
you see, I married my opposite. So like my husband is very productive in the afternoons and the evenings. He's like, let's go for a walk. Let's do that. And I'm like, I'm dead on my feet now.
I'm dead now.
You're getting nothing out of me productivity-wise. Maybe a dinner. You may be thrown up a dinner. Now, he's a great cook, so I'm very lucky. Yeah. He cooks incredible meals as well, so I'm spoiled. But I am very, like, no, that is not the time to approach Julie for anything, is in the evening.
It's in the evening, because it's like I'm spent now. And there was another one, do you know Brené Brown? Is that her name? Brené Brown? Oh, I can't think of her, I'm butchering now, but she was saying her and her husband have these conversations where he's like, I'm at 70% now, and she's like, I'm at 20, you need to take the reins. You know, when you have that with each other, that's important.
Yeah, and we do, like, I mean, you know, he'll often, if I'm like, I'm not going to have time for this today, tag, you're it. And he's like, no problem, I'll do that. And then there's days when I know he's busy and I'm like, I've got this. And we always say that to each other. He'll say, I've got this, Julie. You go ahead.
Because I think when people hear us talking about like pro-women and they think we hate men. I love men, but I really love women. And when I start to talk about...
I don't love all men. I just want to... I love my husband. I love my husband.
But I like the company of men. I think men are great and valuable. But they think that I would never look after them or do things like... And I'm like, of course I would.
Oh, I've been spoiled rotten.
I'm independent. I'm... Yeah, but I still...
But it's reciprocated.
Yes,
I suppose
100%.
The difference is... when you're in a relationship of equal minds, and this is something that I love, is like we travel quite a bit together. We just never stop talking. Like we can talk about any topic, any subject, and we don't always agree, but we can have these wonderful debates, and it's just great. Like it's lovely to have somebody that actually gets you, and 100%. I'm where I am today because I have met the right person in my life who has just accelerated me and supported me and helped me to move forward. And you know, I have that faith that when I need him to take over, I know he's got that and I don't have to worry about it right now. I can focus on this. Like we're in the car coming up here today and he's like, I'm so proud of you. Like, would you have thought this is where we would have been 7-8 years ago, Julie? Like here I am driving you and you're going on a podcast and you're meeting all these incredible women and you're talking to all these people and it's just great and I'm so proud of you. And that's just wonderful to have that type of person in your life. And it does contribute to your success.
It does, 100%, 100%, that's important. But just the times have just changed and people have said to me, when you know, because they know that I'm really pro-women and they think I hate men. And I don't.
No.
Absolutely don't. I hate bad men, but I hate bad women as well. Hate's a very strong word, but I don't like the company of bad people.
Yeah, I just don't. I think the older you get, and if it's one gift I could give my children, it's the gift of resilience and being able to understand that other people's issues are not your problem and to remove yourself from those dramas and just progress on with what you're doing. And it's very hard to do that when they're stuck in school and they're dealing with things every day and they're coming home and they're saying this happened and that happened and you're just like, it's all noise, guys. It's just noise. It doesn't matter. And when you go into college even, And it's just like they go from school to college and it's like the whole world just completely changes for them. And they meet people. So they're doing a course that, first of all, they want to do. So
and
they're meeting people that they have a common interest with. So straight away, they just make these incredible bonds with people. And they're like, oh, why was I so hung up on all that rubbish in school? Like, why was I so caught up in that? And it just becomes this far distant memory that most of us want to forget. And you just move on with this great weight lifted off you of, oh, I don't actually have to talk to them if I don't like them. I can actually go, okay, and just move. You know, you don't have to engage with these people. And people are watching this right now going, well, that's easy to say, like, I work with this one and they're a nightmare. And it's like, why are you still there? Have you tried to address it? Have you done anything about it except give out about it? Have you?
And that's the truth. Yeah, it's absolutely the truth. So that's what I want. Like people, like loads of, even some of my customers say to me, you hate men. I'm like, why are people saying that about me? And it's just because I'm very pro-women. And I am. But I'm pro-men too.
Yeah. I'm an equal opportunities person. I actually don't look at people as male, female, whatever. I personally have no opinion on it, other than I meet you as an equal mind. I hope you see me as an equal mind too. I'm just as talented at what I know, what I'm talking about, than what you are about yours. And I can absolutely respect your opinion and your guidance. I just want the same in return. And I absolutely get that in spades, because that's what I align myself with.
Yeah.
And I can seek out and find people that will browbeat me and keep me down, and I will be very unhappy in what I'm doing. But I choose not to align myself with people like that. I choose a different path, and you can choose a different path.
Yeah, brilliant. That's really, really good advice. Same even for leaders in business, if there's a staff member.
I'll give you this example. I worked with somebody many years ago, and she was... When I first started in the company, I invited her out to lunch. I just, you know me, I'm just like laser. My radar is there. And I was being pushed very much to certain other people. And I went to her and I said, would you like to go for lunch? And she said, I'm just letting you know now before you go for lunch with me, I'm kind of persona non gratis around here. And if you're seen going for lunch with me, it might affect how other people perceive you to be. And I said, would you like to go for lunch with me? And she said, yeah, I'd love to. We are still great friends to this day. She actually came to my wedding, and we had nobody at our wedding. We just had a family wedding, and I took pictures with her down at a location, and she's a wonderful friend. But I counselled her for years and mentored her. And, you know, she was a long time very unhappy in her job, very underappreciated, not seen for the talent and the quality that she was bringing. And, you know, she would come to me and say, I'm just so unhappy. And I said, but you're not doing anything about it. You're talking to me about it, but you're not doing anything. You're going home and talking to your husband about it, but you're not doing anything. I said, you're not progressing on in this. This is a problem. It's affecting your life. What steps are you taking to move out of it? I can't, but I'm here for X amount of years, and people become institutionalized in a job and they go, I'm here too long, nobody else will take me. I'm like, that's not true. She moved out, she took a different job. She has never, ever been happier. She has a much better quality of life. She is not working 12 hours a day, doing 4 different jobs and being unappreciated for all of them. She does one job, she does it exceptionally well. She's been promoted. She absolutely live, laugh, loves her life. She's a different person. Yeah. She is a different person. And she's like, I can attribute a lot of that to you, because you gave me that confidence to go for something else. And I was like, but you've nothing to lose, bar stay where you are and be miserable. And this opportunity came up and she went for it. And she has never looked back. So it is never too late. And, you know, a lot of it as well was, oh, it's my age and my pension. Stop. If you're not happy, look at other opportunities. And the other thing I find is that we tend to get more upset about it. So women do tend to be more emotional when we're unhappy at work. Stop crying. Stop crying about it.
God, stop crying
Just
about it. Yeah.
deal with it. Take it for what it is. Remove the emotion. You see, we connect our value to our job more so than what men tend to do. So when we're unhappy in our job, we feel that that has something to do with our personal value. And that is not true. When you separate the two out and go, oh, okay, so I'm in this job and I'm unhappy. Obviously, my business needs and my business talents don't align with this business. I'm just not the right fit. That's okay. That's great. Thanks very much. Take care. See you. Bye-bye. and you move on.
Yeah.
And when you find the right fit, you will excel in your job so quick and so fast because your talent will be seen, recognised, and you will move
you'll be
forward.
happy, and the whole thing then is a great cycle. Like, I left my job, that's when I started the business. I was just unhappy and I wasn't growing in it, and I thought, I cannot stay here, I'm dying. And that's why I started my own business. But everybody said I was too old, I was mad, all of those things that you were saying. But I did it, and I have never looked back. Never, ever, ever. I've never looked back. Yeah. And actually 2 of the girls that worked with me in another job rang me last week for advice, and they said, here we are, you're gone 5 years and we still ring you for advice and mentorship. So yeah, it really is. We're never too old.
You're not going to help all people either. Some people are actually just happy being on. So you'll have conversations with people throughout your lifetime, and you will talk to them and give them the same advice that I gave her, but they will not take it because they're actually happier being unhappy. So it's not that they're necessarily unhappy. It's that no matter what they do, they're just going to be unhappy because there is another issue that they need to deal with, which is more personal, and it has nothing to do with where they're working. And there are those people. So there are people in your organisation that you can mentor, change their mind, help them grow and move on and be very, very happy. And there are people that are just never going to get in the boat and row with you. They're just never going to do that.
They're never going to get in anyone's boat and row with anybody.
No, but you have to move on from that and accept, do you know what, I've done all I can here for this person, and I have to get in the boat and row with everybody who wants to row with me, and I just have to accept that they don't want to do that, and that's okay.
And it's just recognising the different people, I suppose, in your organisation, your business, in your life.
Yes.
Yeah, it is, and you have to look at people like that and say, okay, they're not, for us, even as leader in business, maybe they're not the right fit for my business, because sometimes I try too hard with people, but I'm learning, you can't help somebody that doesn't want to help. And if they don't want to be here, and I'm really cutthroat about it, it's like, go, leave. Leave, actually. I've said that to people, then leave. This is not for you, and that's okay. And I love you, but bye. That's important.
It's not personal though.
No,
it's just not the right fit.
It's just not the right fit.
You know, the thing is, right, so you're in a leadership role. Your main job is not to manage people or what they're doing. Your main role is to remove any barrier to what they need to do to be successful in their day. So it's not your job to sit on someone and drive them and want them to be successful. That's their job. Your job is to say, what is stopping you from getting where you want to be? The targets that we have agreed, the targets that we have set have not been met. What is preventing you in your role? What can I do to help you in that? So what barrier is it? Well, Sharon, we haven't got enough resources. Or Sharon, I'm doing 3 or 4 different jobs here. And, you know, when I started, I was doing this, and now I'm doing this and this. And you're like, okay, so we need to bring more resources in here. Or, okay, we need to take that off you and give that to somebody who maybe has more capacity. You're at your breaking point. We need to step in and help you. And absolutely, as a leader, it is your job to move in a situation where people are struggling, roll up the sleeves, and everybody does it together. And that's the thing.
Yeah,
you get in the boat and
100%.
row. You have to help people out. And you can't look at it and go, no, it's your fault, it's you're this, you're that, you're the other. It's not a blame game. And when really good leaders do that and say, what's the problem here and how can we fix this? You will see a completely different team.
Yeah.
A completely different team.
But it does depend on who you're dealing with then. Some people are just, you'll know them though. But I mean, if 80% of your team are happy rowing, all going the right way, you know, there's one guy, I don't know who it is, but he sacks a certain amount of people every year because he's like, they're not for the business. We need to just, you know, we'll keep who's good, who's our top performers and who are living the ethos of the business. And now look, I don't agree with that because I like to have people in the business, but there's different ways of kind of culling what's good and bad in your business. But I know for a fact that there's some people that you push, pull, no matter what you do, they're not going to do it. And you're just better off saying, let's just part ways and end our relationship. It's better for everybody long term.
It is.
Anything else you want to give people before we wrap this up?
I think I've given my soul. I can't give you much more. I mean, we're talking this pearls. I think I've given you diamonds.
You have given us diamonds.
And so I'm at a loss as to what else I can share with you, bar
no,
stand up
I
and
think
do
it's
the
been
Irish
lovely.
jig.
I think you're refreshing. I love your social media content. I admire what you do for women. I think it's important. And I think it's in a world where there's fake book and fake people and people who aren't authentic and they have an agenda of something else. You don't, and it's refreshing. So I'm really glad that I met you.
Me too.
And it has been fantastic for me And I hope that like we can work together in the future. I know we will, definitely. But it's been a breath of fresh air. And I think people like you on social media are needed.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you, Julie. And
You're
I would
so
like
welcome.
to say to the camera now, please like our podcast, share with people who you think, I think a lot of people will get value, particularly on this one.
Yeah.
So please do share it with your friends if you have enjoyed it. And you can comment on Spotify. We get great comments, so do, and I reply to everybody, so please do that.
And
Julie,
do reach out if you need help.
Jules Rules.
IRL.
In real life.
In real life.
I didn't know that that's what it meant. So thank you in real life. Here you are in my real life. Thank you so much for coming today. I know you travelled and
welcome.
It means the world to me. Thank you.
I would go to the moon for you. You know that.
Thank you.
Thank you.